Welcome to Fancy Think. I'm Jared, and yeah, I finished chapter one in Forge of Darkness by Stephen Erikson. So we're going back into the deep dive here for chapter one in Forge of Darkness, book one of the Carcanis trilogy. So let's just get right into it here. So this is so cool because it's um, it's just neat getting back into this stuff and really enjoy it, especially with all the little hints we got in No Life Forsaken. All right. So how do these two relate to Draconis? These views. Okay. So this book one, part one, in these gifts, the shapes of adoration. Chapter one. The first words are, "There will be peace." And so, what does that mean? Um, it says here that there is some words carved across the lintel stone in the ancient language of the Azathanai, however you say that. Um, and he mentions that like a witness lacking literacy would only see the violence of the mason's hand upon this stone. And the yeah, so that's interesting that would be pointed out. That if you don't understand something literally, you can still get the impression of what was going into it somehow. Maybe that's what that means here, because the lintel stone basalt face had a savage wounding, and so that's very interesting. And there will be peace. That's repeated later on in the first page. And conviction is a fist of stone at the heart of all things. And so, is conviction what is that related to the violence of a mason's hand? Is the mason who's carving these words full of conviction? These words have that conviction. That's pretty cool. There is nothing more terrible than conviction. That's what that paragraph finishes. So, how does these concepts relate to Draconis or Draconis, however you want to say his name? Because he's the big character right now in chapter one, Draconis. And so, if you're interested in Draconis from the Book of the Fallen, you will be very interested in diving into this. Uh, and we find out that he is the consort to Mother Dark, right in this first page here. In the so, and he has his own hold. I guess that's kind of like a. I guess that would be kind of like a barony or a duchy or something like that. He has his own place, and if you look at the map in the beginning of the book, you can see the map of Corral Galen. You can see the various little holds in the map and where Carcanis is, and all the holds all the way up. And Draconis hold is about 8 days ride from Carcanis, so that's pretty interesting. And so we go further on here. Let's see here, and so we get this description here about Draconis. He's coming home, and this isn't always a great thing for the people living there, I guess. So that's kind of interesting, right? And so then we get introduced to Arathan, who is Draconis's bastard son. And that's pointed out right away. And he's tense. He's worried. But he doesn't know what to make of all this, and so he doesn't know what's coming. And of course, fear of the unknown is most people's greatest fear in some cases, right? Um, and he points out that Draconus was feared for reasons that he could not comprehend. So he doesn't like he knows everybody else fears Draconus too. It's not just him, and he doesn't understand why. He doesn't see this figure coming as, and he doesn't understand why he's so imposing and why he's so feared. And because Dragonus never addressed him before, never talked to him, so that's interesting. It's interesting information about this new character, Erethan. Um, so he also points out, we find out here that he has three sisters, and you might recognize a couple of them. His sisters are Envy, Spite, and Malice. Uh, and these three sisters of his, they're flighty as birds, glimpsed from the corner of his eye. They don't really spend time with him. They're all over the place, I guess. And so this is interesting because we've met Lady Envy much later in the Book of Fallen. We've met her sister Spite much later in the Book of the Fallen. We've never met Malice, as far as I can remember. Anyways, I don't remember meeting Malice before reading this the first time. So, and we go on to see, you know, Draconus doesn't acknowledge him, but um, let's see here. There is there was a mention in here about yes. So Malice, the sister we don't know, comes to get Arathon. Um, and Arathon tells her that names shouldn't be curses, which is very interesting. And Malice counters, right? Because he's talking about his sister's names, which are curses, right? Envious by Malice. And she counters with, "Oh, so you're not a simpleton. Envy says you are. Father will be relieved." that's that's kind of funny. Um, so she says he's summoned, and she says Envy knew you would be hiding here, so he was hanging out someplace. I'm not sure. I don't remember where it was, but anyway, somewhere in this hold. And she says, "Envy said you would be hiding here. She's always right, or so she'll tell you." And so it's kind of funny what we know of Envy later on. Right? She always thought she was right, even in the Mel's and Book of the Fallen. So not much has changed over the millennia here, whatever, however long ago this was. So Father summoned him. He only could think of one reason. He thought he was going to be cast out. Um, and so he speaks about lessons from a man named Saganda. Um, and I think those are lessons, just life lessons, like a tutor. And one of the lessons that he learned was that he believes that he is his father's weakness, and that could hurt Draconus, and so he's worried that that's what his father thinks. Um, so that's an interesting note to hold on to. So we get introduced to the Master of Arms, Ivus, who is said that this guy he's a forger. He's a smith, and it says here, this is important, he has Hust blood, and that is the type of blades that these smiths with Hust, Hust blood can make. And of course, there's a mention of a Hust sword in the future novels. So that's an important distinction. And we get let's see here. So Ivis, Sagander, that guy Sagander again, the tutor, comes to Ivis and says the Lord is going to see. So somebody else is getting summoned to Draconis' side, and let's see. They talk about that. They talk about the lack of foreign enemies right now, and that this time the only enemy was the mutually exclusive ambitions of the holds of greater houses. So this is a hint that there is something brewing, a hint of trouble, right? And so this is on the heels of Draconus returning to his hold. Why would he return? Why is everybody scared that he's returned? Is there something going on? So all this relates into this hint of trouble. And finally, at the end of this, the he says he tells who's he talking to here? He's talking to Ivis, the smith, and he says, "This time I shall ride with my son." So he's planning on taking his son away from here. Why? Okay, we don't know yet. Uh, all right, so let's see here. Malice then makes fun of Ivis because Ivis, I guess, she calls him Clawface, but it's only because he's old and he fought in a war and that these are scars of age and experience and seeing a lot of things. And they mentioned the Forulkin War, and I'm wondering if that's related to the Forkulos sale. I'm not sure what that Forulkin War is, so maybe we'll find out more about that later. Um, so Malice thinks that her father's just going to kill Arathan, because that's how she thinks she is a curse named daughter. Um, all right, so then Draconus meets him. He gives Arathan this little speech here, um, and he says that you believe it may be that you believe she did not want you. I think he's talking about his mother, who he never met. You have lived a life with no answers to your questions, but for that I will not apologize. She knew that her choice would hurt you. I can tell you that it hurt her as well. I hope that one day you will understand this, and that indeed you will find it in your heart to forgive her. Um, Arathan had nothing to say to that. Really, he's kind of a deer caught in the headlights type of kid so far. And but he does mention that there's a growing tension in Corral Ghislaine, so we've already got a couple of hints of that. Um, let's see here, and he says that there's a decision. His son tells him that Mother Doc has chosen him to stand at her side. Mother Doc is the goddess of these Teist Andi, and he says it's a decision which seems to have placed me between her and the highborn holds, all of whom bear the titles of sons and daughters of Mother Doc, as an affectation or an assertion of unshakable loyalty. By each claimant, the scales shift, and so it's interesting that we're getting the politics of the situation here, and the Sagander is going to accompany them on their journey, the tutor, and he has long said that he wanted to visit the Azathanai, or Azathanai, however you say that, and the Jagat. So we get the mention of the Jagat in here, which is pretty cool. Um, and so, the chapter goes on here. This is a good 25 page chapter or so. There is a mention of ice. Of course, there's a mention of bitter cold. The ice had looked solid enough, and though the boy had ventured, this is Sagander thinking about when Arathan was young and he fell into the ice, and the boy had ventured alone onto its slick surface. Again, it could feel the treachery beneath his own feet. Not those of Arathan on that chill clear morning, but beneath the scholar himself. He could hear the creaking. And this was a mention, this is like before and after a mention of the Jaggeds. And so that's interesting because we all know, what kind of magic the Jagged possess. Um, and he has to sit there and tell himself, nope, there's no ice. There's no ice. The world is sure and solid beneath me. Listen, there's nothing. And of course, then he's shaken out of his reverie by a knock at the door. So that goes. That's very interesting information there. Um, and the so the trainers of Arathan are also going to be accompanying this just journey, and some other folks. It is also mentioned in here that they're going to visit the Lord of Hate. We don't know what that is. I know because I've read it before who that is, but at this point we don't know who he is. But it's very, very interesting that was brought up. Then we're introduced to Gate Sergeant Raskan and some of his people under him that he's commanding, and these guys are accompanying Lord Dragonus on his journey as kind of like bodyguards. And they have some interesting insights from their point of view about life amongst the Taistandi here. One of them says proof enough that titles and ranks which used to be earned were now coins on dirty scales. I like that. I like that line. So this is what the common guys think about this. Um, and then they mention something about nothing out there in the solitude, and that's capitalized, the word solitude. So this is a place they're referring to, and I don't know what that is yet. I don't remember, but it's interesting. It seems like a place that people don't want to go to. This place called Solitude. And so Sergeant Raskan was in charge of these four, and together they're all responsible for the safety of Lord Draconus and the tutor and Arathan. Um, and it's mentioned again that the tensions in the realm have never been as high as they are now, and and then Raskin, the commentary from his soldiers kind of get out of hand, and he establishes his authority, and he says, I am not obliged to explain myself to you." So he needs to establish that before they take off, so that there's no question who's in charge, right? Um, and so then there's this. Once again, Raskin is thinking to himself here about the power of life and death. He's wondering why someone would be so bold and honest. Are they honest in being bold enough to want to rule over people and the power of life and death over as many of you as possible? Do I not deserve it? Have I not earned it? Will I not take it? And he's projecting onto somebody like Draconus or any of the noble Taistandi, and so he that's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting because not much changes. I think all the rulers who have taken on this burden have those kind of questions in mind. So all this is set up. All this is set up to give you the conflict, give you the potential conflict. We don't know how it's going to turn out, but it gives you the potential conflict, and it gives you a small cast of characters so far to start with. One of the interesting things that is pointed out is the the boy is being trained on a charger, a horse that's meant for battle, and they keep pointing out how the horse isn't going to the horse can't tell the different people apart, and that the enemy, the beast is bred to hate the enemy, and that enemy looks just like you and me. And isn't that the definition of civil war right there? Your enemy looks just like you. You're fighting amongst yourselves. And I really like how Erikson used that horse metaphor there to point out, um, in the hunters comparing their notes, to point out that that dichotomy between of what civil war really is. Fighting amongst yourselves. Yeah. And there was a mention here that sorcery is surrounding the queen, the Mother Dark, Mistress Dark, Mother Dark. Yeah, the sorcery surrounding her is said to be impenetrable, proof against all light. It surrounds her wherever she goes. We have a queen no one can see anymore, and that is interesting because it it speaks literally, but it also speaks to, um, the people in charge being unseen and wielding power over people that they don't see anymore. That, like, it speaks to a disconnect between rulers and ruled, um, and that's a very interesting observation. So, and one of them even says, "Impenetrable darkness, hey? Tis a strange thing to do." And the other guy says, "Why not? When beauty is dead." And so that's sad that it's not just beauty that you don't see anymore, but it's the beauty of where you are in your faith in your rulers in your nation. And then that's towards the end, and the end of the chapter. Um, there's another mention of Azathene script. They they uh, they go past this bridge that has it on the bottom, that nobody ever really looks up and notices. And then there is, the ending, the last line of the chapter is, "There will be peace." So, how is that peace going to be achieved? How is it going to be? That's what they said. That's what they said at the beginning of the chapter. So, lots of stuff to think about with that first chapter. The introduction of new characters, the introduction of potential conflict, the introduction of war versus peace. What do people really want, and what are they going? The lengths are they going to achieve that? What is Draconus hoping to achieve by bringing his son on this journey, or does he have something else in mind? And Yeah, lots of stuff to think about there. So, wow, I really went on longer than I thought I was gonna, yeah, with this thing. So I'm gonna stop there, and I'm gonna say on to chapter 2. Thank